Hello and welcome to this week's news bulletin from the Christian Institute. Christian leaders have warned that Churchhustings could be halted under new regulations contained in the government's proposed lobbying bill. Hustings are localised meetings often held in church halls in which voters have an opportunity to quiz their candidates in the run-up to a general election. There's particular concern that meetings which focus on issues affecting Christians would be put at risk by placing churches under the strict new rules. The leader of the House of Commons, Andrew Lansley, has said it's not the intention of the bill to restrict faith groups or charities from engaging in public policy debate. But Mike Judge of the Christian Institute says the bill needs to be challenged.
Well, this is a really important issue because it's about whether Christians and Christian charities and churches can engage in the democratic process, especially at election time. Now, Christians down the ages have a good tradition of being involved for the public good, and that's something that we support. Now, the government says that its new lobbying bill wouldn't interfere with that that's not the government's intention. And they think that in actual fact the bill doesn't affect any of this. But our legal advice is otherwise. That's why we've raised this really important issue with the government, and we think that they really need to take these issues seriously.
The BBC Trust has rejected a complaint of bias from the National Secular Society concerning Radio 4's Thought for the Day. The daily slot on the Today programme offers reflections from a faith perspective on issues and people in the news. The broadcast at the centre of the dispute was delivered last year, just after the successful High Court challenge to ban prayers during council meetings in Bideford. In it, Lord Singh said the legal action to ban prayers was an attempt to impose secularist beliefs and prejudices on others. The NSS complained that the commentary was biased, arguing that as the issue was a highly topical political controversy, the BBC should have afforded a right to reply or attempted to provide due impartiality. But the Trust refuted the claim of bias, saying it was satisfied that across BBC output, a wide range of significant views and perspectives had been given to the subject of the High Court ruling. David Cameron has told a group of senior constituency officials that he made a terrible mistake over gay marriage. According to a report in the Daily Mail, during a private meeting at the Tory party conference in Manchester this week, the Prime Minister admitted that he underestimated the scale of the opposition from his own grassroots and the church. One cabinet minister at the meeting is quoted as saying, "It's true, he wishes he had never done it. He has been saying this is the biggest political mistake of his premiership because he totally underestimated the trouble it would cause." But he added, "There's no doubt Cameron genuinely believes in the policy and passionately believes in equality in marriage." The comments come just days after the release of a new book, In It Together, by columnist Matthew D'Ancona, which gives a series of insights into the Prime Minister and his dealings with the Cabinet. In the book, Mr D'Ancona comments that Cameron became savagely self-critical about his misreading of the party on gay marriage. He goes on to quote Mr Cameron as saying, "If I'd known what it was going to be like, I wouldn't have done it." A 44-year-old Belgian who was born a woman has ended her life by euthanasia after a sex change operation did not meet her expectations. Nancy Verhelst, who changed her name to Nathan, started hormone therapy in 2009 with full sex change surgery just last year. But following rejection of her new body, Nathan tragically chose to be euthanized earlier this week on the grounds of unbearable psychological suffering. Research has shown that a large number of people who undergo sex change surgery go on to commit suicide, with some suggesting the figure could be as high as 31%. Professor Chris Hyde, who leads the medical research team at the University of Exeter, said, "While no doubt great care is taken to ensure that appropriate patients undergo gender reassignment, there's still a large number of people who have the surgery but remain traumatised, often to the point of committing suicide." He added, "There is huge uncertainty over whether changing someone's sex is a good or bad thing." Durham's Chief Constable, Mike Barton, has called for the decriminalisation of Class A drugs and for the NHS to be able to give them out to addicts. Mr Barton said addiction to anything is not a good thing, but outright prohibition just hands revenue streams to villains. He added, if an addict were able to access drugs via the NHS or some similar organisation, then they would not have to go out and buy illegal drugs. But critics say the solution isn't that simple and could end up making matters worse. Kathy Gingell of the Centre for Policy Studies said it would encourage drug tourism, black market dealing by adding to the supply, and the gangland crime that Mr. Barton wants to escape. Supply without sanction feeds demand, which in turn feeds rates of use and inevitably harm. And finally, former pilot and FBI agent Heath White has told how he came to love the daughter with Down syndrome he'd asked his wife Jennifer to abort. Heath said he had always sought perfection in his life, and a Downs child did not fit into that picture.
I did everything I could to try and force her into having an abortion. My main concern was what people would think about me, what weakness inside me, caused that.
What if I aborted her? What if I got rid of her? And I remember a little voice in my head saying, no way, it's not happening. No way. I mean, I contemplated it for maybe an hour. He did for months.
She couldn't do it.
Paisley White was born in March 2007, but for Heath, acceptance of his new daughter took several months.
The turning point, I had her down and I tickled her, and she laughed and giggled at me and tried to push me away. And her laughing and smiling and reacting with me, that's when I realized that she's just like any other kid. She's my kid.
Heath wanted to show off his newfound pride and love for Paisley, so they began taking part in marathons and road races together. He also decided to write a letter for Paisley to read when she is older, detailing his conflicted feelings about her birth and how he now loves her beyond words.
Nobody knew, the way I felt before she was born. And if I can keep one family, one person from having to live with the guilt and almost making the mistake that I almost made, it's going to be worth the pain that Paisley will feel later in life, knowing the way I felt.
What an amazing story. Well, that's all for this week. As usual, for information on any of today's stories, plus much more, visit our website at christian.org.uk. Until next time, goodbye.